The starfield was calm, silent, and endless. Then, without warning, a scar of fire tore across the darkness. A human vessel, once proud, once shining, drifted out of warp like a dying ember. Its hull was torn open in 3 places. Sparks burst from broken conduits. The engines were coughing out white vapor like a wounded animal gasping for breath. This was the HSS Valiant, a mid-range exploration cruiser of the Terran Union. Now it was nothing but a burning ruin surrounded by ashes of its escort ships, all destroyed. And worse, far worse, was everything around it. 27 alien warships closed in, forming a slow circle of steel and light. Their weapons glowed with rising power. Their hulls carried the curved ancient marks of the Kirax Dominion, a reptilian empire known for cruelty and arrogance. To them, humanity was new, weak, and insignificant. A species that had stepped into the stars only a century ago. A species the galaxy barely noticed. And yet, as the crippled human ship rotated helplessly in space, something strange hung in the air. Attention. A whisper. As if the galaxy itself held its breath. Inside the bridge, red alarms blared. Holograms flickered. Smoke climbed toward the ceiling. Captain Elena Ward held onto a railing as sparks burst behind her. Half her crew was injured, some unconscious. Systems were failing one by one. But her voice remained steady. Status. Lieutenant Rafi, his forehead bleeding, checked the displays. Shields down. Weapons down. Engines barely holding. We can't run, we can't even steer. Elena nodded once. That was expected. She looked around at her broken crew and spoke loud enough for all to hear. Listen to me. We are not done. Humanity does not bow. Not today. Not ever. Her words cut through the smoke like a blade. Near the window, a communication panel flashed. The Kirax wanted to speak. Elena wiped blood from her cheek and accepted the call. A tall reptilian figure appeared. A Kirax commander with emerald scales and narrow golden eyes. His voice was smooth and cold. Human captain, he hissed, your fleet has been destroyed. Your ship is dying. And your species is nothing. Surrender and we may spare a few of you for labor. Elena's crew stiffened in anger, but she kept her eyes calm. You attacked us without warning, she said. You fired on an exploration fleet. We came here in peace. Peace? The Kirax commander laughed. Humanity has no place in the Dominion. You grow too fast. You think too much. You are spreading like pests. He leaned closer. We will burn your worlds. One by one. Elena did not blink. Then know this, Commander. You judged us too early. Humans are not as fragile as you think. But the Kirax only smiled, slow, cruel, dismissive. You are broken. And your threats mean nothing. The transmission ended. The Kirax ships locked weapons. Their cannons glowed like molten suns. On the Valiant's bridge, silence fell. Rafi whispered, Captain, what do we do? And Elena, knowing her ship was shattered, knowing her options were nearly gone, looked at the starfield as if she could see beyond it. As if she could hear all of humanity behind her. Reroute all remaining power, she said. Get the internal beacon online. Why the beacon? Rafi asked. Because someone is listening, she said softly. Someone who was waiting for proof. Proof of what the galaxy really thinks of us. She pressed a hand on the command table. Today we give them that proof. Outside, the Kirax cannons aimed. A second officer spoke, trembling, Captain, that beacon, it sends to the Black Archive network. Yes, Elena said. But that means... Yes, she repeated. Even injured and exhausted, her eyes were sharp. Activate it. Lights flickered. Systems groaned. Then a pulse shot out from the Valiant, silent, invisible but powerful. A signal aimed at a hidden Terran network older than most humans knew. A network used only for the highest emergencies. A summoning beacon. The Kirax commander saw the pulse on his scanners. He frowned. What did the humans just send? His tactical officer replied, confused, Unknown signal, sir. Not a weapon. Not a distress call. The commander laughed. Then let them send it. It will be their last act. He raised a claw. Prepare to fire. Inside the Valiant, Elena exhaled slowly. Her ship was dying. Her people were surrounded. But her voice remained unbroken. Stand firm, she said. Humanity hears us. And when humanity answers, the galaxy will tremble. Outside, all 27 Kirax ships aimed their cannons at the single broken human vessel. 27 against 1. A slaughter. A certainty. Then, the stars shifted. A vibration rippled through the void. The Kirax scanners began to scream warnings. Space twisted. Something enormous was coming. Something old. Something human. The commander snarled, "What is this? What did the humans call?" And in the heart of the galaxy, a long silent engine awakened. The galaxy trembled. The Valiant's beacon had been heard. The space around the crippled human ship rippled like disturbed water. At first it was only a distortion, barely visible, barely real. The Kirax scanned it again and again, confused. The anomaly made no sense. It wasn't a warp signature. It wasn't a cloaked ship. It wasn't anything known. Then the darkness opened. Not like a gate. Not like a portal. More like the void itself moved aside in fear. The Kirax commander felt his scales stand on end. "Report," he barked. His sensors officer hissed nervously, "Sir. Something is emerging. Something massive." "How massive?" The officer swallowed. "Bigger than any Terran ship recorded. Bigger than anything in this sector." A shadow formed, black as night, sharp as a blade, silent as death. It filled the stars behind it, dwarfing all the Kirax vessels. Its hull was shaped like a spear forged from obsidian. Ancient patterns ran across its armor, patterns not of decoration but warnings. The humans on board the Valiant stared in disbelief. Rafi whispered, "Captain, is that human?" Elena allowed herself the smallest smile. "Yes. But not from any fleet we've ever served with." The enormous vessel completed its emergence. Its engines were silent, almost ghostly. No lights. No signals. Just quiet power that made the void feel small. On its side, faint letters became visible as it shifted toward the starlight. HFY Resolute, Black Archive Platform. Elena felt a tremor run through her. She had heard the legends. Whispers. Rumors. Tales dismissed as fantasies. But now here it was. A Black Archive ship. A relic from humanity's forgotten past. A weapon built in the earliest days of the Terran Union, when humanity first met hostile neighbors. The Black Archive was said to store forbidden technologies, lost prototypes, and things too dangerous for the galaxy to know. Most believed those stories were exaggerated. Others believed the ships no longer existed. The Valiant had proved everyone wrong. The Kirax commander steadied himself. "Scan that ship. Now." His scanner screamed with errors. "Impossible," his officer cried. "Sir, our sensors can't penetrate it. We can't detect its weapons, its shields, even its power levels." "Then estimate." The officer hesitated. "Sir. It may have more mass than our entire fleet." The commander's eyes widened. Then the Resolute spoke. A voice transmitted across all channels. Deep, calm, powerful. Not a person's voice, a synthetic one but with strange humanity buried inside. "Terran vessel Valiant, distress signal received. Black Archive Protocol 7 now active." Elena stepped forward. "This is Captain Ward of the HSS Valiant. We are under attack by the Kirax Dominion. Requesting immediate assistance." The giant ship responded without pause. "Assistance authorized. Threat assessment, hostile fleet of 27 vessels. Conclusion, insufficient to challenge Terran supremacy." Every Kirax officer on every ship froze. The commander snarled, "Is this supposed to intimidate us?" A ghost ship and arrogant words. But his claws were trembling. The Resolute began to power up. No lights. No external weapons extending. No dramatic flares. Just a slow, steady hum, deep and ancient. The void tightened as though space itself feared what was coming. On the Kirax flagship the officers scrambled. "Sir, its energy levels are rising beyond our measurement. I don't understand, how can something generate this much power quietly?" "Weapons. What kind of weapons are we detecting?" The commander hissed, "All ships, fire on it. Now." The Kirax fleet unleashed everything. Plasma lances. Pulse torpedoes. Quantum shredders. The entire void flashed with burning color as 27 warships emptied their armories at once. Each blast was strong enough to melt mountains. The Resolute did not move. It did not evade. It did not raise shields. The weapons hit its hull directly. And nothing happened. The fire washed over it like rain on stone. The massive ship didn't shake. Didn't spark. Didn't even dim. It simply existed, untouched. The galaxy itself went silent. On the Valiant's bridge the crew stared in awe. Rafi whispered, "Captain, how is that possible?" Elena shook her head. "Humanity built things long ago that we never spoke of again. Things for a war we hoped would never return. The Resolute's voice returned. Come. Pull. Enemy attack detected. Countermeasures engaging. The Kirax commander shouted, "Brace the shields." But he never had the chance. Space bent. A single beam of pale white light shot from the Resolute's hull. It was not like normal ship fire. It didn't look like a laser or plasma or any weapon the galaxy knew. It looked like a line drawn by a god. The beam cut through the nearest Kirax cruiser. No explosion. No noise. The ship simply split in half, glowing at the edges, drifting apart like paper sliced with a knife. Then, without recharging, without pausing, the beam flicked like a whip of light. A second ship was cut. A third. A fourth. The giant vessel moved with graceful, horrifying precision, each stroke eliminating another warship. The Kirax fleet, once proud, once confident, became a scattering of burning ruins in seconds. Panic erupted across alien channels. They're destroying us. This is impossible. What are the humans? Only the flagship remained. The commander stared at the Resolute with pure fear. Then the human ship did something even more terrifying. It hailed him. "Kirax commander," the calm voice said, "you attacked humanity. You harmed our people. You judged us weak." Pause. Heavy. Electric. Judgment corrected. The commander snarled, not in rage but in terror. What are you humans?" The Resolute answered with a truth the galaxy had forgotten. "We are the species that survives." And then it charged its main cannon. The void glowed white. The galaxy trembled again. The beam from the Resolute's main cannon struck the Kirax flagship like a silent storm. There was no thunder, no roaring blast, only a blinding white flash that swallowed the enormous warship whole. When the light faded, nothing remained. No debris. No drifting pieces. No ashes. It was as if the ship had never existed. The broken Valiant floated quietly among the fading dust of battle. The crew stared out of the windows, stunned. Human eyes traced the silhouette of the colossal black archive ship, now motionless after its impossible display. Rafi exhaled. One shot, and the flagship disappeared. Elena Ward felt her heart beating against her ribs. We were always told that the archive ships were myths. Too powerful. Too dangerous. Too old. And yet here it is, Rafi whispered. The Resolute turned toward them. Its sheer size blocked the stars. For a moment, the Valiant's crew felt like insects before a titan. Then the voice returned. "Terran vessel Valiant. Your distress has been resolved. Initiating proximity assistance." "Assistance?" Elena raised an eyebrow. "What sort?" "Docking." Rafi blinked. "Docking? But our ship, it's barely holding together. This vessel contains emergency repair platforms. You will be restored." Elena straightened her uniform and nodded. "Prepare for docking. All hands secure positions." Outside, mechanical arms extended from the massive ship, arms large enough to crush the Valiant if they chose to. Instead, they moved with incredible precision, guiding the crippled cruiser into the Resolute's side port. The moment the lock sealed, soft blue light washed through the Valiant, scanning every corridor. Repairs began instantly, automated drones pouring in, patching hull sections, restoring systems, tending to the wounded. The crew stared in silent amazement. Rafi whispered, "This thing is more advanced than the entire Terran fleet." "It's not advanced," Elena corrected softly. "It's ancient. Built before we had limits. Before the Council made rules." He turned to her. "Captain, if this is just one archive ship, what else did humanity build in the past?" Elena didn't answer. The possibilities were too big. Moments later, a holographic figure appeared on the bridge, humanoid, but made entirely of shifting white lines. A representation of the Resolute's AI. "Captain Ward," the AI said, bowing its head slightly. "I am Archive Intelligence Unit 710. You may call me Sentinel." Elena inclined her head in return. "Sentinel, why did you answer our beacon?" "I thought the Black Archive program was shut down centuries ago." The AI paused, its lines flickering like cautious thoughts. "The program was not shut down. It was sealed. Dormant. Waiting." "Waiting for what?" "For the day humanity would be threatened by a foe who believed you weak." Rafi murmured, "Well, that definitely happened." Sentinel continued, "Your distress call reached a hidden archive network buried beneath Terran communication layers. It activated me. It reactivated the last sleeping weapon of the first Terran defense era." Elena's breath caught. "Last? You mean?" "Yes. The Resolute is the final archive vessel. The others, did not survive the old wars. A chill ran through the crew. Elena folded her arms. Sentinel, the Kirax Dominion won't ignore what happened here. They'll send scouts then fleets. If they discover you exist, they will panic. Correct, Sentinel replied. Already long-range Kirax sensors have detected the loss of their ships. We estimate a Dominion battle group will arrive within 72 hours. Rafi groaned. Of course they will. But Sentinel wasn't finished. Humanity's political state is also fragile. Terran Command will demand explanations when a ship like me appears. Galactic politics will accelerate. Fear will grow. The archive protocol requires discretion. Elena nodded. Meaning we can't reveal you. Not yet, the AI agreed. But you summon me, Captain Ward. You carry the authority of distress priority. Therefore, I am bound to your command, until your emergency concludes. The crew exchanged stunned glances. Rafi whispered, You're saying? Captain Ward commands a ship that can shred a fleet. Sentinel tilted its head. If Captain Ward desires, this vessel can eliminate the Kirax Dominion entirely. The words hung in the air, terrifying, powerful, unreal. Elena steadied herself. Sentinel, we're not here to destroy civilizations. We defend humanity. Only that. The AI's form flickered with something almost like respect. A wise command. Pause. Then the lights dimmed. Sensors blared. Elena turned sharply. What now? Sentinel's voice deepened. 3 hyperspace signatures approaching. Non-Kirax. Unknown faction. Rafi paled. Great. More trouble. On the display, 3 sleek ships emerged from warp. Their hulls were silver, their engines glowing bright teal. Their design was nothing like Kirax vessels. These looked graceful, elegant, ancient. Elena narrowed her eyes. Identify them. Sentinel answered instantly. Sarati Envoy-class cruisers. Elena froze. The Sarati were one of the oldest species in the galaxy. Scholars, observers, they rarely intervened in anything. They also possessed the galaxy's most accurate intelligence networks. Rafi swallowed. If the Sarati are here, they know something happened. The largest Sarati cruiser hailed them. Their hologram flickered into the Valiant's bridge, a tall, slender being with shimmering silver skin and eyes like liquid stars. Human vessel, it spoke softly, we sensed a great disturbance. The void shook. Something woke that was never meant to wake. Its luminous eyes locked on Elena. Tell us, what have humans unleashed? The bridge fell silent. And Elena Ward realized something horrifying. The galaxy wasn't afraid of the Kirax. The galaxy was afraid of humans. The shimmering Sarati envoy stood tall in the hologram, its silver skin reflecting soft waves of light. Its eyes, deep, swirling, almost hypnotic, seemed to see far beyond the bridge, beyond the Valiant, beyond even the moment. Captain Elena Ward faced it with calm strength, though her pulse thundered. Sarati envoy, she said, inclining her head slightly, I am Captain Ward of the Terran vessel Valiant. We were attacked by the Kirax Dominion without provocation. The Sarathi's gaze did not waver. We sensed the battle. Yes. But what we felt afterward. It paused, its voice dropping to a near whisper. Was older than your species' starflight. A power sealed for centuries. Rafi murmured under his breath. They felt the resolute awakening. Sentinel, the archive AI, stood silently beside Elena, its white-lined hologram faint but steady. The Sarati envoy's eyes drifted toward Sentinel. That, it said slowly, should not exist. Sentinel tilted its head. I exist because humanity willed survival. You exist, the Sarati corrected, because long ago humans feared extinction so deeply that they built weapons even they could not understand. You are a relic of desperation. A forbidden ghost. Elena stepped forward. Envoy, the Resolute answered a distress call. It saved lives. And destroyed a Kirax fleet with impossible ease. The Sarathi's tone was not accusing, merely stating a fact. A demonstration of power that will echo through every council and senate in the galaxy. Elena felt the weight of those words like a stone on her chest. The envoy's hologram flickered gently. In 3 days the Dominion will seek retaliation. In 2 days the Jura Collective will summon an emergency summit. And within 1 day the Galactic Concord will demand an explanation from humanity. Rafi muttered, that's fast. Because, the Sarati said, turning its luminous gaze on him, the galaxy trembles when humans reveal what you truly are. And what is that? Rafi asked. The envoy responded with chilling softness. A species that refuses to die. The bridge fell silent. Outside the ships, the void rippled again. The Resolute shifted its orientation slightly, enough to block the Sarah T. cruiser's line of sight to the Valiant, almost like a protective guardian. Sentinel spoke. Envoy, state your purpose. Your ships could have observed from afar. Instead you approached. The Sarah T. nodded. Curiosity. And warning. Warning? Elena asked. Yes, the envoy replied. The Kirax Dominion is not the only empire disturbed by your awakening. Ancient powers watch from the shadows. Some will see this as a threat. Others, as opportunity. Elaborate, Elena said. The Sarathi's eyes dimmed. There is a reason the archives were sealed. Humanity once feared its own creation. Machines that predicted wars before they happened. Weapons that could erase solar systems. Technologies beyond ethical restraint. Sentinel's hologram pulsed faintly. That history is incomplete, it said. I am not a destroyer of worlds. I am a preserver of humanity. The envoy tilted its head. Intent does not matter. Power does. And yours is unprecedented. Then the Sarah T. asked a question Elena did not expect. Captain Ward, do you control the Resolute? Elena hesitated. Rafi whispered, technically, she does. Sentinel said so. But Elena knew deeper truth. Control was not the same as obedience. She lifted her chin. I command Sentinel during this crisis. But the Resolute is not a weapon to be wielded lightly. We won't use it to dominate or threaten anyone. The Sarah T. studied her for several long seconds. Good, it said finally. Because others will not believe that. A brief shimmer of tension filled the air. Then the envoy added, we did not come to threaten you. We came to offer guidance. Sentinel's lines flickered, intrigued. Guidance? Yes, the envoy said. A storm is coming, human. The Dominion's attack was not an accident. It was encouraged. Elena narrowed her eyes. By who? By forces who wish to test you. Who want to see how far humanity will go when pushed. Who wonder what monsters you might awaken next. Rafi muttered, fantastic. Someone's playing games. It is worse than that, the Sarah T. said. Someone is preparing the galaxy for a new age of war. One they think humanity will ignite. Elena's stomach tightened. And what do the Sarah T. think? The envoy's glowing eyes softened. We have watched your species climb from dirt to stars. We have watched you break chains, shatter limits, and rise when logic said you should fall. It paused. We believe humanity has the potential to be peacekeepers. Or conquerors. Sentinel spoke quietly. The archive was built for the former. Not the latter. The Sarah T. nodded. Then you must act fast. The Dominion fleet approaches. If humanity responds with full force, even in defense, the galaxy will panic. War will spread like wildfire. Elena exhaled sharply. So what do you suggest? The envoy's expression hardened. Come with us. Attend the Concord Summit. Speak before the galaxy. Show them humanity's face before fear does it for you. Rafi blinked. With a broken ship and a ghost superweapon behind us? That'll be subtle. Elena paced slowly, thinking. Summit meant politics. Politics meant danger. But refusing would paint humanity as secretive and hostile. She looked at Sentinel. Would attending the summit expose your existence? Sentinel's voice hummed low. It depends on how we proceed. But danger is unavoidable. Elena turned back to the envoy. We'll go. But under one condition. The Sarah T. lifted its head. Name it. Elena's eyes hardened with Terran resolve. You protect the Valiant on the way. If anyone tries to interfere, Kirax or otherwise, you stand with us. The envoy nodded immediately. Agreed. Humanity will not walk into this storm alone. The hologram blinked out. Silence returned to the bridge. Rafi blew out a breath. Captain, we're heading into the heart of galactic politics with a story no one will believe, an ancient superweapon everyone will fear, and exactly 0 allies except 3 glowing librarians. Elena smiled faintly. Better than usual. Sentinel spoke softly. Captain Ward, the galaxy is reawakening its old fears. And you are now at the center. She stared at the stars ahead. Good, she whispered. Let them tremble. And the Valiant set course toward the Concord Summit, where truths would be revealed, alliances tested, and humanity would show its true nature. The journey to the Concord Summit felt like drifting through the eye of a storm, quiet, cold, and heavy with the promise of chaos. The Sarah T. cruisers escorted the Valiant in a protective triangle, their silver hulls shimmering like moonlit blades. And behind them all, silent as a shadow, the Resolute followed. Its presence alone bent the void. No transmissions. No signals. Just an ancient titan observing the galaxy once more. Inside the Valiant's command deck, the crew worked at half-mended stations. Repair drones still scrambled along the walls. The ship was alive again but fragile, held together by faith and old Terran stubbornness. Captain Elena Ward stood at the central display, watching the star map shift. "Approaching Concord space," Rafi reported. His voice was steady, but the tension in his shoulders betrayed him. "Broadcast beacons active. They're expecting us." Elena nodded. "Good. Maybe that means fewer guns aimed at us." Rafi snorted. "You're an optimist." Sentinel's hologram appeared beside them, glowing softly. "Captain Ward, the Concord summit has deployed security patrols. I detect 3 escort squadrons forming a perimeter." "Numbers?" Elena asked. 57 ships." Rafi choked. 57? For a summit?" Sentinel responded, "They fear you." A chill swept through the bridge. Minutes later, the Valiant dropped out of warp. A massive structure dominated the void, shaped like a vast ring carved from purple crystal and dark metal. The Concord Citadel, heart of galactic diplomacy. Lights glowed across its surface like constellations. Thousands of ships orbited it, each bearing flags from empires across the galaxy. Rafi whispered, "It feels like the whole universe is here." Sentinel added, "Records indicate 93 represented civilizations. This is the largest summit in a century." Elena straightened her uniform. "Open a channel. Let's introduce ourselves." Rafi activated comms. A voice answered instantly, firm, clipped, deeply authoritative. "Terran vessel Valiant, this is Concord Citadel Control. State your purpose." Elena stepped forward. "This is Captain Elena Ward. We were summoned by the Sarah-T envoy to attend the emergency summit regarding the Kirax attack." Silence. "Then. We acknowledge your arrival. You will proceed to docking ring 6. Be advised, your escort must remain outside the Citadel's inner perimeter." Elena's eyes narrowed. Rafi whispered, "They're trying to isolate us." But Sentinel intervened, its voice colder than usual. "Citadel Control, be advised. The Valiant remains under Archive Protocol protection. Any attempt to separate the vessel from its escorts may trigger defensive measures." The channel went dead. For 3 full seconds, absolute silence. Then the control officer returned, but their voice was now careful, restrained. "Understood. Sarah-T escorts may accompany the Terran vessel." Rafi let out a breath. "Good grief, Sentinel. I think you just scared the entire Citadel." "That was not my intent," the AI replied. "But it was necessary." The Valiant approached the Great Ring. Dozens of sensor beams swept across the ship. Elena held her breath, worried they might detect Sentinel or the beacon logs. But every scanner returned incomplete or corrupted readings. The Resolute drifted just far enough away to disrupt attempts to probe the Valiant too deeply. A deliberate shield. Elena whispered, "Thank you, Sentinel. Your safety is Archive priority." The docking was tense. Alien diplomats, soldiers, and observers watched from transparent galleries. The humans walked down the ramp like a small squad entering an arena. One captain, one lieutenant, and a few security officers still bandaged from the Kirax battle. The Sarah-T envoy awaited them, wrapped in flowing silver robes that glowed faintly. "Captain Ward," it greeted. "We must go quickly, eyes are everywhere." Elena glanced around. Clearly. The envoy led them through wide crystal corridors. Strange gravity fields made the floor feel featherlight. Thousands of voices echoed faintly in the distance. Languages layered over each other like alien music. Rafi whispered, "I feel like an insect in a palace." Elena leaned toward him. "Walk tall." Humans crawled, climbed, and bled their way to the stars. "We belong here." The envoy turned slightly. "Remember those words. You will need them." They entered the Hall of Concord. The massive circular chamber was carved from translucent crystal. Thousands of delegates seated in rising tiers, Kirax, Jer, Avenari, Sarah-T, dozens more. The central speaking platform floated on a levitation field. At the center, a holographic recreation of the Kirax battle. Elena's stomach tightened. In chilling detail, the projection showed the Valiant's shattered form, the Kirax fleet surrounding it, the Resolute emerging like a dark god. Then the beam. Warships sliced like cloth. Light swallowing the flagship. Whispers and gasps rippled through the chamber. Rafi whispered, "They already know." The Serati envoy whispered back, and they will ask questions you cannot avoid. A booming voice called out. Terran Representative Elena Ward, step forward. Elena exhaled slowly and walked onto the platform. Every eye in the galaxy fixed on her. The High Speaker, a towering juror with sapphire chitin, spoke with thunderous authority. Captain Ward, you stand before the United Species of the Concord. You will answer one question first before any others. The hall fell silent. The High Speaker leaned forward. What was the weapon that destroyed the Kirax fleet? Elena did not flinch. Because in that moment she understood something the galaxy didn't. The Resolute wasn't the real danger. The real danger was what humans would do when pushed to the edge. So she lifted her chin and spoke clearly. That was humanity. The hall erupted in chaos. Alien delegates shouted, panicked, furious. Impossible. Humans cannot wield such power. They threaten us all. The High Speaker slammed a massive claw down. Silence. The chamber fell still. The speaker glared at Elena. Explain what you mean. Elena's voice remained steady. A weapon did not save us. A machine did not save us. A ghost ship did not save us. She took a breath. Human ingenuity did. Human will did. Human resilience did. Gasps spread across the hall. And if the galaxy plans to judge us, she continued, then judge us by that truth. The speaker stared, and for the first time fear showed in its eyes. Not fear of the Resolute. Fear of humans. For several long seconds, not a soul in the Concord Hall dared breathe. Elena Ward stood alone on the floating platform, a single human among thousands of alien delegates. Her declaration, that was humanity, still echoed through the crystalline chamber like a war drum. The High Speaker's mandibles twitched. Captain Ward, your words shake the Concord. Elena kept her voice steady. Good. Because the Concord needs shaking. A wave of shock swept through the delegates. Rafi, watching from the side with Serati escorts, whispered under his breath, "Oh boy, here we go." The High Speaker narrowed its deep sapphire eyes. You claimed the destruction of a Kirax battle group was not the work of a singular machine, but the nature of your species? Elena lifted her chin. Yes. Explain. Elena took a slow breath. Then she did something no one expected. She stepped closer to the edge of the platform and looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of species who lived 1,000 times longer than humans, species who thought themselves wiser, older, better. When humans first crawled on our world, everything wanted us dead, she said. Predators, storms, ice, fire, our planet was brutal. We had no claws, no fangs, no armor. Her voice rose. So we made our own. The hall fell utterly silent. We learned to build shelters, then villages, then weapons, then cities. We mastered oceans, storms, disease. We reached our moon not because we wanted glory, but because one single question drove us forward. The High Speaker leaned in. And what question is that? Elena met its gaze without fear. What's next? A ripple of shock spread across the delegates. The Serati envoy's eyes gleamed with something like admiration. Elena continued. We fail. We fall. We break. But every time, every single time, we stand up stronger. We adapt faster. We think differently. We refuse to stay down. She gestured toward the hologram of the Kirax battle. The Resolute is not impressive because it destroys ships. It is impressive because humans built it during our darkest age, and then sealed it away because we feared what we might become. The delegates murmured. Humans feared themselves? Unheard of. Elena's voice sharpened. When the Kirax attacked, we didn't unleash a weapon to conquer. We unleashed a promise to our ancestors. She stepped forward, speaking not to the speaker but to the entire galaxy. Humans do not start wars. She let the silence hang. But we end them. The Kirax delegation erupted. A huge reptilian general rose from its seat, scales pulsing red with fury. Lies, he roared. The Terrans attacked us first. Your borders expand. Your worlds multiply. You grow too fast, too bold. Humanity is a threat to galactic balance. Rafi muttered, and there it is. The Kirax general pointed a claw at Elena. Your species should be contained. Controlled. Before you awaken more ancient demons. Before you unleash more monsters like that cursed ship. Elena stared straight at him. Are you referring to the ship that saved us from your unprovoked attack? The general snarled. We attack because humans are unpredictable. Dangerous. You evolve at a speed no species can match. Elena's expression hardened. Then perhaps the problem isn't us. Delegates gasped. The Kirax general slammed a fist on his desk. You dare. But Elena cut him off. Yes, I dare. The hall erupted again, some species startled, others outraged, a few impressed. The high speaker struck the floor with a booming thud. Order. Silence fell like a dropped curtain. The speaker turned to Elena. Captain Ward, whether your species is threat or ally will depend on your answer to one question. Elena nodded. Ask it. The speaker raised its voice so the entire hall heard clearly. If pushed to war, if cornered by empires, if the galaxy unites to contain humanity, will you deploy more machines like the one that destroyed the Kirax fleet? Elena did not blink. This was the question that would decide the fate of her people. Slowly she spoke. If the galaxy attacks humanity, we will not release old weapons. A wave of relief spread through some delegates. But Elena wasn't finished. She let her voice rise, filled with iron. We won't need to. The entire chamber fell into terrified stillness. Elena stepped closer, her eyes blazing. Humanity doesn't win because of ancient machines. We win because of our minds. Our grit. Our ability to turn nothing into everything. You can fence us in, blockade our worlds, bury us under fire. Her voice dropped to a whisper that carried like thunder. And we will still find a way. Rafi whispered, Captain, that's the HFY spirit right there. Elena continued. You fear the Resolute. But you should fear the humans who built it, dismantled it, and still survived long enough to rebuild a civilization from ashes. The Kirax general shouted again. Enough. Your lies end here. Captain Ward, you will confess the origin of the machine, or face the consequences. Elena stared at him coldly. Or what? Your fleet will attack me here? The general sneered, revealing sharp teeth. Yes. The Dominion battle group arrives in 6 hours. Our ships will surround the station. You will hand over the weapon, or we will destroy you. The hall exploded into outrage. No one attacks Concord territory. That violates every treaty. Kirax madness. The general roared, drowning them all out. The Dominion will not bow to humans. We will end this threat now. Rafi whispered to Elena, we're in deep trouble? But the Serati envoy leaned close to her ear and said something unexpected. Captain, look at the speaker. Elena did. The high speaker's sapphire eyes were distant, calculating, almost fearful. Then it spoke softly. Captain Ward, humanity must leave the Citadel. No. The summit is no longer safe. Elena blinked. We just arrived. And now you must run. Run where? The Serati envoy answered quietly. Where humanity always runs when the galaxy pushes too hard. Elena frowned. And where is that? The envoy's silver eyes gleamed. Into the storm. Outside the Citadel, every sensor blinked. Every alarm screamed. A new fleet had just exited warp. Enormous. Aggressive. The Kirax battle group. War had arrived early. And humanity stood at the center of the galaxy, with nowhere left to hide. Alarms throughout the Concord Citadel screamed like frightened metal beasts. Kirax battle group detected. Multiple dreadnoughts inbound. Weapons charged. The Citadel's viewports darkened as enormous reptilian warships emerged from hyperspace. Dozens, then scores, then hundreds. Their formation wrapped around the station like a tightening noose. Rafi whispered, sweat trailing down his cheek. That's an invasion fleet. The Serati envoy's voice trembled. This is not retaliation. This is extinction. They came to erase humans before your species can rise any further. Elena Ward felt something harden deep in her chest. Not fear. Resolve. She turned to the envoy. Help us get back to our ship. The envoy nodded sharply. This way. Hurry. The group sprinted through the wide crystalline corridors. Alien diplomats ran in every direction, shouting, panicking. Sirens warbled. Citadel guards scrambled to defensive positions. Rafi panted, Captain, the Kirax wouldn't dare fire on the Citadel, right? Elena gave him a dark stare. Do you still think they're rational? They reached the docking ring. The Valiant awaited them, still scarred, still healing, but alive. Sentinel's hologram flickered into view. Captain Ward, it said calmly, the Kirax battle group has issued an ultimatum. Let me guess, Elena said. Surrender or die? Incorrect, Sentinel replied. They demand the immediate transfer of me, the Resolute, into their custody. And your execution. Rafi threw up his hands. Wonderful. Elena stepped onto the Valiant's ramp. Sentinel, status of the Resolute? Fully awakened. All systems at combat readiness. Currently positioned at the edge of Concord safe space, awaiting your authorization. The Sarati envoy stepped forward. Captain, this could ignite a galactic war. Elena turned to the envoy and spoke with fierce calm. I'm not starting a war. The Kirax already did that. I'm going to end it. The envoy bowed its silver head. Then I will pray your people are everything we believe you to be. The Valiant detached from the docking ring and moved into open space. Immediately, a wall of Kirax ships locked their weapons onto the small Terran vessel. The Valiant shook as warning beams brushed past the hull. Rafi yelled, "They're targeting engines." Elena stood tall. "Open a channel. Wideband." Rafi hesitated, then pressed the command. Her voice echoed through space, across every ship, every species, every ear in the galaxy. "This is Captain Elena Ward of the Terran Union." For a heartbeat, even the engines fell silent. "You want humanity subdued? Controlled? Extinguished? Then listen closely." She took a step forward as though she stood not on the bridge, but on the entire starfield itself. "We will not surrender. We will not bow. We will not break." Her eyes burned with iron. "You should have killed us when we were weak." The Kirax general's voice answered, venomous and booming. "You speak bravely, little human. But your people are alone. Surrounded." A vicious laugh crackled across the channel. "You cannot fight 1,000 ships." Elena smiled coldly. "Of course we can't." Rafi stared at her. "Captain, what?" Elena raised a hand. "Because we don't fight alone." She gazed out into the void. "Sentinel." "Yes, Captain?" "Mark all hostile Kirax vessels." "Confirmed." Elena's voice dropped to a whisper of pure steel. "Unleash the Resolute." Silence. The stars dimmed. The void shivered. Like a giant stepping through a curtain, the TSV Resolute emerged from shadow, closer, larger, more terrifying than ever. Its engines glowed with ancient, forbidden energy. Its hull cracked with radiant lines like waking veins. Every species watching the broadcast gasped in unison. The Kirax general screamed, "Fire! Destroy that abomination!" Hundreds of dreadnoughts unleashed a storm of plasma and kinetic rounds. A barrage bright enough to blind sensors. The Resolute did not bother with shields. The storm hit, and scattered like dust against a mountain. Sentinel spoke, its voice amplified across the void. "Kirax Dominion. You have attacked Terran citizens. You have violated Concord space. You have attempted genocide. Correction, humanity will not be erased." The Resolute's main cannon ignited. A beam of pure white cut through the starfield, silent, instant, absolute. A Kirax dreadnought evaporated. Then another. And another. Sections of the battle group collapsed like dominoes. But the Resolute was not done. Small panels opened across its surface. Lines of energy arced outward. Miniature beams, dozens of them, scythed through cruisers and frigates with surgical precision. Each shot a sentence. "You should not have come. You should not have provoked us. You underestimated the wrong species." Inside the citadel, millions of beings watched in stunned silence. Some trembling. Some in awe. The Sarati envoy murmured, "Impossible?" The High Speaker whispered, "Humans built that?" Elena watched from the Valiant's bridge, jaw set. "Sentinel," she said quietly, "disable every Kirax ship that does not retreat. Do not kill those who surrender." Understood. The beams shifted, no longer destroying but neutralizing engines, power cores, weapons. One by one the dreadnoughts went dark. Panic spread. The Kirax general's voice shook. "Fall back. Fall back. Humanity is..." He couldn't finish. The last of the battle group retreated into hyperspace. The galaxy fell silent. Minutes later, the High Speaker addressed the Concord Hall. For the first time in centuries, it announced solemnly, "A single species has repelled an invasion and defended this council without firing on civilians." All eyes turned to Elena Ward. The speaker bowed. "Humanity, we misjudged you." Pause. "You are not a threat. You are a balance." Elena nodded. "We don't want dominance," she said. "We want respect. And peace. But if the galaxy threatens us..." Her voice sharpened. "We will show them why we survived everything our world threw at us." The speaker raised its arms. "Let it be known, humanity stands as a full equal among the stars." Cheers erupted. Even old rivals applauded. Rafi whispered, stunned, "Captain, we did it?" Elena smiled softly. "No, Lieutenant. Humanity did." Later, as the Valiant drifted beside the Resolute, Elena spoke quietly to Sentinel. What happens to you now? The AI answered gently. I serve until your crisis ends. Then I will return to sleep. Elena frowned. We could use you. You do not need me, Sentinel said. Humanity is strong because it faces storms, not because it hides behind old giants. Elena touched the console. Thank you, Sentinel. The AI flickered faintly, almost like a bow. Until humanity calls again. The Resolute vanished into darkness, returning to myth, to secret archives, to the long silence between wars. The galaxy would never again underestimate humans. Because one broken human ship had stood against a fleet. One captain had spoken truth to empires. One ancient vessel had awakened. And the galaxy trembled. Because humanity had arrived.